Hey Sixicles, welcome to then Wednesday's lesson. Now we're going to move on to, we've sort of done comprehension of poems and the form and everything Monday, Tuesday. Today we're going to sort of use all that knowledge as well, but look specifically at a poem that we're going to be looking at for the rest of the week. And Miss Hersey will be looking at this poem tomorrow and Friday as well with you. And you're going to start writing in the same sort of way as well. So we're going to comprehend and summarise a poem by retrieving knowledge and inferring meaning. And that's the main thing as well, the inferring when it comes to poetry, is the poet obviously wants to put some sort of meaning behind those words, but doesn't necessarily just tell you how it is. There's this sort of meaning behind it. And then why to write in the style of this Jamie Thrasivalu, who did the We Are Derby poem. Now, to start the lesson, what you need is you need the copy of the poem yourself, and then you need the copy of the questions as well. But that's later on. We'll come on to the questions later on. So you just need to be looking at this poem. Now, I've tried my best to fit it all on one screen here so we can all have a look at it in one go, but there is a little section at the bottom there that we need to look at. So mine's like in 3 columns as if you're looking at a newspaper sort of thing. So what I want you to do is, first of all, I want you to pause the poem, what do I mean? Pause the video, there you go. I want you to pause the video and I want you just to have a look at and read through this poem. Now, this poem is, in fact, what I want you to do. Let me just rephrase that. I want you to pause the video, pause my video, but then I want you to look at this video here. Now, it's on today's playlist. Now, this is actually Jamie Thrasivalu saying his poem before a Derby County game. And what I want you to do is just listen to how he says it, and then have the words in front of you as well as he says it. Now, what I want you to sort of think about as well is the passion that he's got behind these words. Now, if I start the poem as he comes and sort of says hello to everybody at the beginning of the game, listen to his voice. So it's sort of his voice is sort of down here at the moment, let's pretend. And by the time he gets to the end of the poem, he's sort of all the way up here because he's driving that passion behind his words. If I just sort of show you here, you can hear the difference. Okay, so he's like, "Hey, come on, let's get going," and it's okay. It's because it's at the beginning of a football match, but also the sort of passion behind being somebody from Derby as well is quite obvious in the way that he's saying the poem. So just listen to how he's saying it, have these words in front of you, and then come back to me afterwards. Off you go. Okay, so now hopefully you've heard the poem, you've read it through a few times. Well, some things in there won't make any sense to you. That's absolutely fine, and that's what we're trying to look at today. Then, so what I want you to do to start off with is what I've done is I've tried to group the verses together in there, depending on what they mean, depending on what the meaning is behind each verse. So I've just used some colours and I've just sort of highlighted or grouped together some verses that I might go, actually, that verse is quite similar to this verse over here, or that verse sort of is similar to that verse over there. I just want you to sort of group together your verses for me. Yours might be completely different to mine, that's absolutely fine, but just spend a bit of time now if I get my pause card out, pause the video, and have a go at grouping those verses together for me. Okay, so this is what I've done with mine. I've grouped them together in these colours down here. Okay, now the reason why I've done that is when I read these words, these sorts of the the first half of the poem is all to do with almost the history or what we've got business wise. So, oh, the cat's just ran past me. I wondered what that was then. So if looking at it, we've got like the Royal Mail, Royal Crown Derby. We've got these sort of historical figures: Joseph Strutt, Darwin, Florence Nightingale. It's almost like everything that comes together to make Derby that we've got there in these sorts of green bits here. I've then grouped together these two bits, the sort of the blue bits, and the way I read it is that's what makes almost people proud and how people might feel. I suppose the pride they're feeling towards Derby, that the fact that we live here. The ram is our symbol. The city is beating heart. We've lived through hard times, persevered. Our people possess the spark, and it's almost like people who live in Derby are proud to live there, and they've got something about them. And then I've grouped together these red bits. Now, these red bits are all to do with the football team. Now, it's quite a bit about the football team because obviously it's said before a football match, so he's got to sort of link to that football team as well. But obviously the football team is a huge part of Derby as well. It sort of brings people together every week, maybe twice a week, up to 30,000 people every week. to come and watch a game. So it sort of brings people together as well. So it's a very important thing to Derby, that is as well. So that's how I've grouped them together like that. You might have grouped yours a bit differently, but that's absolutely fine. This is just how I understand the poem myself. You might understand the poem a bit differently. Next bit of this lesson then, so the bit that you're going to be submitting online are these questions. Now I've sort of done these questions in three parts. If I sort of scan down, you can see I've done the purple. Now if you think back to our magnifying glasses at the front of the classrooms, the purple is our retrieval facts, retrieval finder. There you go. So you look back into this poem, and it should be quite easy to find the answer to these in the poem. The green ones are more to what you think about. Now these are going to be the interesting parts. What do you take away from this poem? And that's sort of, it might be a bit personal, but to you, but it's sort of the way that you say it as well. So what do you think it means by inventors span cogs to engineer solutions in line 3? So I'm going to come back to this bit in line 3. 1, 2, 3. Here we are. And what do you think the poet means? What do you think Jamie meant by where inventors span cogs to engineer solutions? Engineer in this sentence, or this line, isn't the noun. Okay, it's the verb. It's to do something. To engineer something means to make something. Okay, so where inventors span cogs to make solutions. So we've got the green bits as well here, and then we've got these black bits. Now I put the black bits, I put research in there. Now this is up to you to go onto the internet and research these things. I thought these were interesting things about the poem that is included. So the Royal Derby PO boxes, quite interesting when you find out what that is and why it's important to Derby, and then you might actually hear this being said on TV a few times as well. Joseph Strutt as well, who was he and why is he important to Derby, and then what was the baseball ground as well is another thing I want you to research. But inside this poem as well, please don't stop there. There's lots of different things in here that are very interesting to research. Now I didn't know what what is important about Belper Nails until I saw tomorrow's tomorrow's video from Miss Hersey. She's already sent it me, and I saw that she referenced Belper Nails, and then I went to go and actually research what's interesting about Belper Nails, and it's actually a really interesting thing to research as well. So if there's something in there you don't understand, have a little bit of a Google, have a bit of a research about what it is and why it's interesting to Derby as well. And if you do find anything out, obviously then send it to me so I can read it as well, because it might be something I don't know. So good luck with it. Send your questions back to ClassStage or Google Classroom. And I look forward to seeing what you've researched. See you tomorrow.